Hey everyone, and welcome back to the TheFortitudeFix. I hope you're well. My name is Deshana, and in today's video I am bringing to you some information about birth control. So, as you can tell by the title, I am going to give you pretty much a crash course in birth control, and whether you are trying to figure out what's out there and what method might be best for you, whether you already know about birth control and you just want to know what's new out there, or you just want to brush up on your information, this is going to be the video for you. This is going to be pretty fast-paced, and I'm going to be talking about birth control methods, the most common, the most effective, as well as answering some of the most common questions that I get in the classroom as a sexual health educator here in the state of California. So if you are interested in getting a crash course in birth control, go ahead and just keep on watching. Hi everyone, again, my name is Deshana. I am a comprehensive sexual health educator, puberty educator, trained birth doula. I have my bachelor's, my master's, and I am super passionate about health education in general. Studied it, did it in college, and I have been doing it in some form or fashion for almost throughout my whole life, but especially my professional life. So let's go ahead and talk about the methods of birth control. I am going to be going in order from the most effective to, I won't say the least effective, but we'll just start with the most effective and go down the line. Again, these are going to be the most common types of birth control that you will see out there, although other methods do exist, and I'll touch on them in a bit. Let's start with something called as the implant. So you may have heard of the implant. It is a small, kind of like matchstick size implant that gets inserted into the upper inner arm, and it releases hormones, and that is how it prevents pregnancy. The birth control implant is pretty much 99% effective plus, so it's over 99% effective, and it can last up to 5 years. Next is the IUD. This stands for Intrauterine Device. If you look at that word, it's gonna tell you where it goes. This goes inside intrauterine device. It goes inside of the uterus. This option is over 99% effective as well, and it goes inside the uterus. There are two types, the hormonal IUD as well as the copper IUD. They work a little bit different, but they do both prevent against pregnancy, and the IUDs last anywhere between 3 and 12 years. These two methods are known as LARCs, or L-A-R-C-S, long-acting reversible contraception. Contraception means preventing pregnancy, and they are long-lasting. They are also super low maintenance. It's kind of like a set it and forget it, if you're old enough to remember that infomercial. These are basically ones that are super, super effective, and I don't have to do much to make it happen and make it work. It reduces the amount of human error because it's going to be inserted by a medical professional, and it's gonna stay there until you decide to take it out. All right, let's move on to ones that are used on more of a schedule. So let's start with the birth control shot. So this is a shot. It's an injection that will go in your arm just like any other shot that we might get at the doctor's. The birth control shot is used every 3 months, so it is very important that we go back and get our birth control shot, or else we will not be protected against pregnancy. This method is 96% effective. Next up is the vaginal ring. So the vaginal ring, just think about it as like kind of like what a hair tie looks like if it's not being used. It's just like a circular ring. It's super flexible and bendy. Essentially, this is going to be inserted into the vagina, and this is going to be prescribed. However, it's also going to be something that the individual inserts themselves. And so goes into the vagina and it sits there, and someone is going to insert and take out once a month. Okay, so again, used on that schedule. Very important to remember that schedule and remove it and replace it when it's time. This method is 93% effective. Next up is the birth control patch. It's a patch that's going to be placed on your arm. You can also place it on your lower kind of like groin area. It can also be placed on your back, kind of hip side in the back. And it has to be put in certain locations in order for the hormones to be absorbed through the skin, make it into the bloodstream, and prevent pregnancy. This is also going to be used on a schedule. It is something that an individual will get. They will get a prescription for it, use it, and they will put it on and take it off themselves. The person using the birth control patch is going to replace the patch weekly. They are able to swim, take baths, take showers, and it should stay on. And this method is 93% effective. Also used on a schedule, this is probably one that a lot of people have heard of. This is the birth control pill. This is going to be used every single day. A person will take a birth control pill, preferably at the same time every day, and this method is 93% effective. All right, so we're gonna go into some barrier methods. So a barrier is anything that kind of prevents something from getting somewhere else, right? A barrier. So these are condoms. There are two different types of condoms. So let's talk about the first type of condom. This condom is usually used externally. This is going to be used every single time. So every single time that sex occurs. And this is 87% effective. Next up is the internal condom. This condom is going to be used inside of the body, and this condom is going to be used every single time as well, and this method is 79% effective. We talked about quite a few methods here. If for whatever reason you have some ideas of types of birth control that you have heard of and I did not mention them, please know that yes, there are more types of birth control that will prevent against pregnancy. I did say that I was going to just cover the most common and the most effective ones. You may have also heard of like the rhythm method or using the calendar. You may have also heard of like the diaphragm or the cervical cap or the sponge or spermicide. All of these things are also able to be used to prevent pregnancy. They work a little bit differently than some of the ones that I've mentioned, and their effectiveness is a little bit lower because again, it's me, it's something that I need to do, and there's a little bit of room for human error that makes it a little bit less effective. There are three other types that I want to just touch on. One, you may have heard of more permanent methods, like someone getting their tubes tied or someone getting a vasectomy. So these methods are called tubal ligation and a vasectomy. Those who have fallopian tubes, it's really kind of tying off and preventing the egg from being fertilized at all. Then someone with a penis, there is a pathway that the sperm travels through, and that's known as the vas deferens. So again, making a blockage so that the sperm cells can't get to an egg, thus preventing pregnancy. These methods are meant to be permanent, and I believe there are a lot of kind of stipulations and rules around who is able to get a vasectomy or a tubal ligation procedure, and age limitations as well. So go ahead and check in what the laws are in your state, but those are meant to be permanent. I also want to address the withdrawal method or the pull-out method. The withdrawal method or the pull-out method is really just what it sounds like, and removing of the penis before ejaculation occurs, with the mindset that if I do that, then sperm cells will not be able to enter the body, will not be able to search and find an egg. I do want to mention that this method is 78% effective, and it's meant to be done every time. With that method, I would like to mention something called pre-ejaculatory fluid. Pre-ejaculatory fluid is released before ejaculation happens and can sometimes actually contain sperm cells. This is something that someone can't control, they cannot feel or know when it's gonna happen. So although someone may have the best intentions, there could also be sperm cells that enter the body before the pullout actually takes place. And the last most effective method that I will talk about is abstinence. If I am not engaging in sexual intercourse where sperm and egg have the likelihood to meet somehow, then I am not going to get pregnant or cause a pregnancy. This is 100% effective, right? If we keep those two cells away from each other, then there's no risk of them kind of coming together if we are making the conscious effort to keep them separated. Now, are there ways that pregnancy can occur with sperm and egg that don't involve intercourse? Yes, that's a topic for another video. So to wrap this video up, I do want to address some questions. I, as an educator, would get a ton of questions on every single one of these birth control methods, but there are some that really do stand out that were being asked on a more regular basis. One of them was about the LARC, so the implant and the IUD, and how long they last. And the question is, if someone wants to have it removed earlier than that, can they do so? And the answer is yes. Because again, it's something that I would have to go and get. I would need to go back and have it taken out. And so whether I want to get it out in 2 years, 6 years, or whatever it is, I can go back and get that removed. LARCs, long acting but reversible contraception. Another question that I would get all the time is about the ring, and if the ring would like get lost in the body if we pushed it too far inside of the vagina. That is a great question, but I do want us to remember that there is a barrier or something that is between the vaginal canal and the uterus. So there is something called the cervix, and the cervix is really tiny. It's kind of like the size of this little opening right here. That's kind of a visual of what that looks like. And the cervix is there, and it's really centered between the uterus on one side and the vaginal canal on the other. So if the ring is being inserted into the vaginal canal, it's not going to be able to get through that cervix. So it's going to just stay there, hang out there until the individual removes it and puts a new one in. Another question I also get was around something called emergency contraception. Is the birth control pill the emergency contraception pill or the Plan B pill? That's a great question, and the answer is no. They are separate things. I do want to say that the birth control pill is the one I mentioned that you take every single day. Emergency contraception is something that I did not touch on here in this video, but I will link the information and talk about the effectiveness down below. Something I want to mention with emergency contraception though is the misconception that if someone is pregnant, then this is going to terminate or end their pregnancy. This is not true. If someone is taking the Plan B or the emergency contraception pill, there are other brands out there. Plan B is just one brand. If someone is already pregnant, that pill is not going to do anything. It is trying to prevent a pregnancy, but if a pregnancy is already occurred and someone is pregnant, then there is a new list of options that they have as a pregnant person. But someone who is trying to prevent pregnancy could use the emergency contraception pill in an emergency situation, whether the condom broke, whether they forgot to take a pill or go back for their shot, whatever type of emergency situation. What I will say is there are certain factors that can affect the effectiveness of the emergency contraception pill. So I do want you to go ahead and take a look at the information below, but know that someone's BMI or other types of medication that someone might be on could affect the effectiveness of these hormonal methods, including the emergency contraception pill. And lastly, the biggest, most common question I get is, Miss D, what is the best birth control method? Like, what's the best one? Which do I need to get on right now? Give me your answer. And my answer is simply this. The best birth control method for you is the method that you are going to use correctly every single time. That's my answer. If you are someone who forgets things and taking a pill every day is not something you're gonna remember to do, probably not the best method for you to be on. How I will end this video, if you have any questions for me about the content of this video, go ahead and leave me a comment down below. I love interacting with you, but please do your own research, make up your own mind, consult with your medical professional, because there might be some things that make it where one might be better for you and your situation than another. I believe that education is super important, knowledge is power, and I want to know all the information so that I can make an educated decision about what's best for me and my health. I want you to be able to feel equipped to do the same. I will see you right back here in my very next video. I'll leave some videos up here for you all to watch between now and my next upload. And as always, remember to fill your cup. Bye.